Hello everybody, in this video we're going to be painting. Our wall-to-wall bedroom unit is looking pretty good, although it does need a little bit of colour. At the end of the last video we'd finished the build of the doors and sanded them back. It's now time to start the painting, undercoat first and then on to the fun bit, drawing our designs and painting them in a whole myriad of different colours. There's lots to do, so we best be getting on with it. The first thing we're going to need is an undercoat for use on MDF. This Leyland acrylic primer undercoat had mixed reviews in the UK. It's a water-based product which may raise the fibres in MDF. This may lead to a bad surface finish, but it's easy to source, so we thought we'd give it a try. The two test doors I had built were the first to be undercoated. I brushed it on one and used the roller on the other. I preferred the roller finish, so went with that. The fibres did rise on the machined faces of the MDF, but sanded back easily when I used the Merkur hand sander with a 240 grit abrasive sheet fitted. We've made the decision on how we're going to decorate our doors and drawer fronts. We're going to paint the outside frame and the machining piece here and also the back grey, and it's going to be an eggshell or a satin finish over that. The centre section here, the raised panel itself, we're going to mask off with masking tape, and that's going to be left white. And then once everything is dry, on these raised panel surfaces we're going to paint pictures. The grey paint we're going to use is made by Dulux. The shade is called Denim Drift and thinks to be okay, and our only worry is it may be a little dark. The good thing about grey is when we paint our pictures on the raised panels, it doesn't matter what colour we use, as it won't clash with the grey. And that grey is going to be the frame of each of the pictures. Right, the two doors need to be wiped down with the tack cloth. I will then paint one with a brush and the other with a roller and see what finishes I manage to get. Now the primer is free from dust, I mask off the raised panel with masking tape and a little bit of newspaper. Paint the first panel all over with a brush. The second panel I brush around the tight corners and machining and then roller everywhere else. First coat of top coat is now dried. This is the next morning and you can see there's brush strokes going up and down on the frame of this particular panel, and the other one, this is the one where I used the roller, better coverage, and there's a little bit of you can see the undercoat just in little specks along this part of the frame. Once the second coat was in place on each of the test panels, I decided the roller is the way to go for me. I obviously need much more practice if I want to use a brush. Now I know what I'm doing, this is the plan. I'm going to show you the two large wardrobe doors going through the painting process. All the other doors and the drawer fronts will undergo the same processes. I remove the handles, unclip the doors from the unit and take out their hinges. All the doors have been sanded. The next job is to vacuum off any dust and use the tack cloth on all the surfaces to make sure that they're clean. I paint the white primer on the rear of the door first. I use a brush on the detail, then the roller to cover the rest of the surface. Paint the back of the second door and leave both doors on the workbench to dry. I start work on the front of the doors. Clear any dust with the vacuum, then use a small roller first to paint the primer around the edges. Brush the detail before using the roller to finish. Paint the second door and leave to dry. Once the primer is dry, I turn the first door over and sand the rear surface with my Merkur hand sander. I use a vacuum to clear the dust. Onto the second door, I sand the primer and vacuum that as well. Wipe the tack cloth over the rear of both doors and they're now ready for the first coat of grey top coat. I use the brush to paint the detail around the rear of the raised panel. Now use the large roller to cover the rest of the surface. Onto the second door. Brush, roller, done. With the backs of the doors painted, our attention's now moved to the front surfaces, and with that, more sanding. Vacuum the dust away and mask over the raised panels. Onto the second door, and do it all again. I brush the top coat round the large raised panel first, and then paint the frame and edges with the rollers. Onto the small raised panel, I brush, then roller. I move the door to the rear of the bench and start work on the second door. Now dry, it is time for the second and last coat of the grey paint. The doors are turned and their rear face is painted first. The paint has dried now and it's back to the front of the doors and the last bit of painting to finish these doors off. The tall wardrobe doors are almost ready to go back onto the unit again. Both have had 2 coats of top coat. I'm now going to take the masking off from the panels in the centre, screw on their hinges and bolt them back onto the unit. All the hinges are here. If you remember, they're all numbered. Got to be put back on in their correct place, and I'll get to that now. I remove the masking from the raised panels, then turn the door over. Push the 3 hinges into their retaining holes, and then secure them in place with the screws. The first 2 painted doors are in place. Can you spot where they are? The doors are painted with their grey top coat. I install the doors 1 cupboard at a time. I want to leave the paint for a few days to harden before I tighten the handles. When you see the handles in place, they're just pushed into position. They're not tightened up at all. You may notice the drawer fronts have disappeared. They've gone for painting. Now all the doors and drawer fronts have been painted, it's time for the decoration. As the drawer front's already downstairs, it'll be them we decorate first. We've decided on the style of painting we want on our white panels in our doors and our drawer fronts. There is a South African tribe called the Ndebele, and one of their traditions is to paint their houses inside and outside with geometric patterns. Got some photographs, have a look at these. Bright colours, geometric shapes, we like this very much. We will design our own patterns. Each cupboard or wardrobe will have its own unique pattern on its 2 doors, and one door will be a mirror image of the other. Each drawer front will have its own unique pattern as well, and the picture on one side of the handle will be mirrored on the other side of the handle. Now this is one that Anne sketched out on some paper just to see what it looked like. You also remember that I made 2 panels for testing, and that's what this is one of them. So Anne had a go at that, and it's not too bad, but the black lines were a bit juicy. And she had another go on the other panel, which is here, and we both like this one a little bit better than the first one she did. The lines are a lot thinner, the patterns themselves are smaller, and that's the way that we're going to go. The paint Anne is going to use is a acrylic paint. This paint is water-based, but when it dries it becomes water resistant. So we'll be able to paint it with this, and then we're going to go over with a varnish to protect it. Now, in Anne's stock, she has 2 tins of varnish. One is this hard glaze, which is a gloss finish, and the other one is a satin coat. So we're going to try both of these probably over this panel here to see what they look like. We think that the satin is going to be better than the gloss finish, but we won't know until we get it on there. The 9 drawer fronts are all nice and dry, and it's time to pull the masking off of the raised panel on the fronts. I've masked around the area I need to paint, and now, using a small roller and a lot of care, I paint it. That single top coat is now dry, so we can remove the masking and have a look what we have. And it's looking as it should do. Look at that. And let's see what it looks like with the back plate of the handle in place. Yes, it's looking good. So all we need now is colour on these 2 sides on 9 drawers. Anne has started to paint the first drawer front. I'm at the other end of the sofa trying to come up with the next unique design and draw it before Anne finishes the one she's working on now. Both of these jobs, painting and sketching, are taking some time. All in all, there are 33 raised panels to decorate. This is going to take some time to complete. Anne is now adding the black lines around all the coloured shapes. The first drawer front is now painted and ready to be varnished. Production is continuing on our Inderberry inspired drawer fronts. Anne finished this one off yesterday, and she started on this next one. Well, Anne and myself have got into a bit of a routine at the moment. I'm doing the design work and sketching out all the construction lines, and Anne is doing the painting. And we've got 1, 2, 3, Anne's on the 4th drawer front there. The 5th one has been sketched out but not painted, and I'm on the 6th. So they've got 3 left. The reason that I'm doing the design and Anne the painting, it's not so much that I'm good at doing the details and not, but I can't paint. So it's easier for me to sketch the patterns down, get it then okayed by Anne, and then Anne does the painting. Anyway, we better get on. So, say goodbye, Anne. Goodbye, Anne. Oh, that wasn't staged, was it? As you can see, Anne has now finished off 6 of the drawer fronts, all painted, and she started on the 7th, which is here. The other 2 at the back have their patterns all drawn on, so they're ready to go. Next job is to start varnishing some of these drawer fronts. I'm going to start off with these 3 here because they're all on the same side, the right-hand side of the unit upstairs. So that's my next job. Satin coat varnish on these 3 drawer fronts. You can start putting the varnish on. First half done. The first 3 drawer fronts are in place, and it gives a hint of what the whole unit will look like once it's all finished. But as we come back, scan back and back and back, the full scale of the decoration becomes apparent. All we've done is that little bit down there in the corner and 1 cupboard up there. All the rest is yet to do. Gulp. This is one of the largest doors from the unit. This is from the large wardrobe. This is actually the right-hand door of that wardrobe. Started to lay out the pattern yesterday, and I'm about a third of the way through, so I'm up to there. You probably can't see the detail from up there, but I'm that far along, so I've got this bit to do, and then onto the top. You can see that it's quite a large door, so I'm having to spread it across the sofa here. Anyway, I better get on with it. These are the doors for the top right-hand cupboard. Anne had already finished this one on the right. She did this one yesterday, finished that one off, so that cupboard is complete. She then went ahead and did the next cupboard along, which are these 2 here. So they are already, they've got to be varnished and they can go back. I finished off the 2 tall doors, and Anne's just started painting them. And I can scan you down the door so you can see the pattern that she's got to fill in. So that's what it looks like when I handed it over to her, and then she can sort out what colour needs to go where. So you can see it gets quite complicated. This is the one where I was a bit worried it was looking like 1950s sci-fi. I still got that that thought. Right, so that was finished. So that is the left-hand large wardrobe done, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not a painter. So we have 3 other wardrobes, the half-height wardrobes, and this is the centre doors for that wardrobe. And I wanted something on here which tied the doors together. So I thought if I made the centre of something here and then had rings coming out or spirals or points like a compass. So what I've been doing is down here, this is the centre, and this is a piece of string. It's actually lacing cord that I'm using. I've taped it to the centre of the doors, and now I can pull this up, use this as a guide to make my lines. Now the arcs that are down here, what I did there was held the pencil to the piece of lacing cord, and then made the arcs. So I could get the arcs on the top and then the arcs on the bottom all the same all the way around. So they actually make circles, and there are darts which shoot out here. I cut that out of a piece of paper and then put this in position where I wanted the centre of that pointer, pushed the piece of paper underneath, marked along the edges, and then went to the next place, and so on around. And it's coming together slowly, but it's taking a long time. Anne's at work today, it's Sunday, so I'm just seeing how much of this I can finish. I should finish one door off, that'd be fairly easily, but I'm not sure if I'm going to finish two off. Anyway, I better get on with it. All the doors are scattered around our living room and our conservatory. The two large wardrobe doors are on the workbench here. Anne finished these off yesterday. We left them overnight to make sure that the paint was completely dry before we varnished them, and the varnish went on about an hour ago. So they are the large wardrobe doors. The three half-size wardrobe doors, all the designs are finished off, and Anne is painting the first set of two doors. First one, and the second one is here. So that's a nice... Say hello, Anne!
Hello, Anne.
Anne finished painting the doors last night, and I've been varnished them today. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and these are the last doors. Now, they've all been painted and they've all been varnished except for this one. This is the last one. Once that is finished, I can then put the hinges back on, mount them on the door, on the cupboard, and it is complete. Decoration-wise, anyway. Here you find us in the bedroom. Anne is assembling the brass handles onto the doors, and I'm clipping the doors in place and adding the soft close units to the hinges. With the last door in place, we stand back and view our creation. The painting on our bedroom unit is now complete. It did take a little bit longer than what we thought it was going to do, but we're very pleased with the results, and we think it was worth that extra little bit of effort. Although the big bedroom unit looks finished, there are still some small jobs yet to do. In the next video, we'll tie up all those loose ends. We need to fit the trim to cover the mismatch between the nice square unit and the wonky walls and ceiling. Then there's a gap between the bottom of the frame and the floor. We need to cut and fit kicking strip. And with that achieved, the big bedroom unit will be complete. Could you do something like this? Of course you can. And with that, this video is at an end. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next time. Could you do something like this? Of course you can.